We also now have reasons, not widely known at the time, to be skeptical of the official reports. Most people have assumed that the 9/11 Commission was run by its co-chairman, former New Jersey Governor, Republican Thomas Kean, and former Democratic Congressman Lee Hamilton. They have thought of it, therefore, as an independent, nonpartisan commission. But the 9/11 Commission was actually run by Philip Zelikow. He controlled the 85-person staff, which did all the work. And he was in charge of producing the 9/11 Commission report. And yet he was essentially a member of the Bush-Cheney White House. He had worked with Condoleezza Rice during the administration of the first President Bush on the National Security Council. Then, during the Clinton years, Rice and Zelikow wrote a book together. Then, when she became appointed National Security Advisor under the second President Bush, she brought Zelikow back to help with the transition to the new National Security Council. And then, most important, when she had the job of producing National Security Strategy of the United States of America for 2002, she brought on Zelikow to write it. There had been a first draft produced by a person in the State Department, but she said it wasn't bold enough, so she brought on Zelikow. Zelikow produced an extremely bold, even belligerent document, which said, now that 9/11 has happened, we can no longer honor international law as traditionally understood. According to international law, no country is allowed to attack another country unless it knows that an attack from it is imminent, too imminent to take the matter to the Security Council of the United Nations. Zelikow said, no, now that 9/11 has happened, we cannot wait. So we must have the right to attack other countries before they are ready to attack us. This was a new radical doctrine of preemptive, preventive warfare, which Dick Cheney and other neocons had long wanted. And yet, Philip Zelikow was then put in charge of the 9/11 Commission, which should have been asking, among other things, the question, might the Bush administration have a motive for orchestrating or at least allowing 9/11? Also, we have learned more recently from New York Times reporter Philip Sheenan in his book called The Commission more things about Zelikow. We learned that in spite of his promises to the contrary, he remained in contact with Condoleezza Rice and also with Karl Rove, the ultimate political operator in the White House, who was intensely interested in the 9/11 Commission, fearing that it might say something that would cost them the re-election. Also, Sheenan revealed that before the staff had its first meeting, before any research had been done, he had written an outline of the final report, complete, Sheenan says, with chapter headings, subheadings, and sub-subheadings. Sheenan also revealed that Kane and Hamilton conspired with Zelikow to keep the existence of this outline a secret from the staff. In a book they wrote about the 9/11 Commission, Kane and Hamilton criticized conspiracy theorists because rather than forming their theories on the basis of facts, they start with their theories and then look for facts or perhaps fabricate facts to support their theories. By contrast, Kane and Hamilton said, the 9/11 Commission started with the relevant facts, not with a conclusion. We were not setting out to advocate one theory or interpretation of 9/11 versus another, they said. And yet they admitted. Zelikow assigned the subject of Al-Qaeda to one of the staff's teams, which was told to tell the story of Al-Qaeda's most successful operation, the 9/11 attacks. If that is not starting with a theory, what would be? If the 9/11 Commission was not independent of the Bush-Cheney White House, what about NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, which was given the task of preparing the official reports about the World Trade Center, the Twin Towers, and Building 7? NIST is an agency of the Department of Commerce, and therefore, during all the years it was working on these reports, it was an agency of the Bush-Cheney administration, run by an appointee of that administration. Recently, a former employee of NIST has spoken out, saying that NIST had been fully hijacked from the scientific into the political realm. Scientists working for NIST, he says, lost their scientific independence and became little more than hired guns. Everything that came from the hired guns, he added, was routinely filtered through the front office and assessed for political implications before release. Moreover, he said, NIST reports on the World Trade Center also had to be approved by the National Security Agency and the Office of Management and Budget, an arm of the Executive Office of the President, which had a policy person specifically delegated to provide oversight on our work. As a result, NIST reports, which say the Twin Towers and Building 7 came down without the aid of explosives, are political, not scientific documents, as any serious examination of these reports will reveal. The authors, with their PhDs in physics and engineering, could not possibly believe the things they have written. If reasons to take a second look at 9/11 are provided by new information about the Bush-Cheney administration and the official reports supporting its conspiracy theory, the same is true of the new shape of the 9/11 Truth movement. At one time, it was dismissed as a bunch of kids on the internet. Then I wrote the new Pearl Harbor, and it was dismissed as a bunch of kids on the internet and an aging theologian. George Monbiot, writing in The Guardian, referred to members of the movement as morons and idiots. Alexander Coburn, writing in Counterpunch, The Nation, and Le Monde Diplomatique, referred to the movement's members as the 9/11 conspiracy nuts, saying they know nothing about the real world, especially the world of military affairs. Lacking any conception of evidence, he added, they represent the ascendancy of magic over common sense and reason. Insofar as critics of the 9/11 movement could, by ignoring many of the early members of the movement, such as a former police officer, a world-class economics professor in Canada, a commercial pilot who had flown 757s and 767s, and an acute historian, and many others, by ignoring all those, they could portray me as the head of this movement. Monbiot referred to me as its high priest. Another left-wing critic called me its guru. So they could somewhat plausibly present the 9/11 movement as a religious movement comprised of people who knew nothing about the real world.